Perhaps it's time to update the Venn diagram of modulation effects. This is the Ibanez RC99 Rotary Chorus. You'd almost think that after so many years of playing and collecting and demoing, I would have heard just about every possible variation of the chorus effect. I mean, how many ways can you modulate a delay into a vibrato and then mix it back in with the original dry signal? But I guess that's kind of like saying, how many ways can you build a guitar? Or how many ways can you combine grain, hops, yeast, and water to make beer? The limit does not exist. But let's start out by focusing on the chorus part of that, because all four of these controls up here are chorus controls. So we'll start with the speed and depth. Up next is something that you know I love to see on a chorus pedal: delay time. This really opens up that second voice in the mix by putting additional time between it and the dry signal. And on a chorus, that control more than anything else is what lets us dial in the flavor of the pedal. Our fourth knob is another welcome addition to a chorus. It's a mix level. And all the way left, it's just the dry signal. At 10, it's an even split of vibrato to dry. That's our standard chorus kind of sound. But this knob goes up not to 11, not even to 12, but 14, where it's slightly more vibe than chorus, but still not full vibrato. So that's the chorus, but where's the rotary and all that? Well, look at this. You see how on these first three knobs there's this kind of dashed section? That's the rotary zone. The rotary zone. Yeah, it says it right there. So it's not like you flip a switch and it changes modes. It's just a certain range and combination of settings that brings out a rotary-esque flavor. To be completely honest, I'm not a huge fan of the designated rotary zone settings on here. In particular, I feel like depth needs to be just a little bit higher to do much of anything, so I kind of fudged things around to get something that sounded good to me. It could also be that this pedal is just out of spec today, and we'll talk about that later. But I love the sound of this thing. It's got a sweetness to it. And a lot of times with choruses, you'll hear, oh, it's got that 80s sound or that 90s sound. I wouldn't call this either of those. To me, it just feels like we're just adding movement and excitement. And that's kind of timeless. And it might not have shown up in the overhead shots or right here, but this enclosure has a real interesting shape with the sides kind of slightly angled. It actually reminds me of the Electronic Audio Experiment's Brutalist-styled fuzz and boost pedals. And this might be the only pedal that I've ever seen with 4 screws on the bottom that weren't oriented in the corners. Isn't that weird? You notice anything else a little different here? Yeah, input on the left, outputs on the right. No complaints, I'm just pointing that out. A few other odds and ends. Yes, this does work for bass, and I think it sounds really, really good. So here's the isolated bass track from the intro jam. You probably also noticed that this has stereo outputs, but it's the inverse effect plus the dry thing. It actually spells it out pretty clearly in the instructions. So no sense recording this in stereo. You've been hearing it in mono all along here today. I'll also say that this has definitely taken some time damage. There's hiss, the pots are scratchy, and sometimes there's a tick as it oscillates. Maybe you heard that. Some deoxit, new capacitors, and a few minutes spent biasing the BBD. That would probably clear all that right up, and I might do that at some point. But I'm also a little worried that the part of this pedal that I really enjoy could be tied to that drift and aging. So maybe I won't. Maybe it goes right on my board as it is. And it is going to go right on my board. I already put the dual lock back here. If you want one of these too, they're on Reverb. And you can get them for around 150, 160, at least until the chorus fanatics of this channel descend on those listings. It's something a little bit different, and that's good because we've got a lot of choruses to look at this year. Like, a lot of different choruses. I might have gone a little overboard. Whatever. I'll catch you on the next one.